On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Deshawn Alexander 25-00375, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Natalie Maycomer on behalf of the people.
And Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Mr. Alexander, who's appearing over Zoom today.
Okay, today was the date and time that was scheduled for a probable cause conference. The matter is scheduled for preliminary examination on the 27th of February at 8:30. Are we continuing to exam?
Yes, we are.
That we should address today.
The only matter to address today is I did let Mr. Goodrich know we do have one witness that is subpoenaed for the preliminary examination that is not going to be in town that day. People are going to attempt to proceed without that witness. However, if for whatever reason we cannot, we'd be asking for a continuance at the end of testimony on the 27th to allow that witness to come back. He will be out of town that day on a pre-planned, I don't know if it's a vacation or family matter, but a pre-planned outing.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's noted. We'll address that if that becomes an issue. Mr. Alexander, do you have any questions for the court today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll see you in person February 27th at 8:30. Bond will continue. Any additional matters for the record?
Your Honor, I would just state that we did request this morning an affidavit of a search warrant, and the prosecutor's office has turned that over to us at this point, so we should be ready to proceed next week.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. You're all set, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Kayla Martinez-Wiseman, can you start your video, please? Right.
Can you hear me okay, Your Honor?
I can hear you. Yes, thank you. Yes, you did. It says she requested a public defender, but we don't have any record that she was assigned.
So it is.
What's the name?
Her name is Kayla Martinez-Wiseman.
Sometimes it doesn't do that with him. Just whenever it goes to emails to you. We're scheduled for the 25th for the problem too. So. I'm gonna read. Thank you. Looks like she was denied.
Okay, lack of indigency.
Yes.
Okay. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kayla Martinez-Wiseman, this is file number 25-00385. Come the prosecution appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Matt Nagel for the people.
Okay, and I have Kayla Martinez-Wiseman present via Zoom. This is the date set for probable cause conference. Ms. Martinez-Wiseman, it appears that you did make an application to have the public defender's office represent you, but you were denied due to the lack of indigency.
That's contact.
Excuse me?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so indigency meaning that you make too much money. You're not below the poverty level to qualify for a public defender to be appointed to you. So you have a couple of options. You can appeal that application denial if you believe that maybe they got the calculations wrong, or maybe you didn't turn over all the information to support your income and the things that you're paying for. And then see if they will grant you a public defender, or you can seek to hire an attorney, private counsel at your own expense, or you can waive counsel and represent yourself. So those are your options at this point. Do you think you might want to appeal the denial?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so you need to make contact with the public defender's office, and that way you can make an application to appeal the denial. Once a public defender comes back in here, I'll find out the number that you need to call for that purpose, okay?
All right, Your Honor.
Your court date next week, we're gonna continue to that date, but I'm going to treat it as another probable cause conference because I want to see what's going on with your representation, okay?
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
So you will appear on the 27th at 9 a.m. Hang tight, and then I'll find out what information you need to process your appeal, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am, you will need to contact this number. Are you ready to write it down?
Yes, I am.
Area code 517-679-2979.
It's gonna be 517-679-2979.
That's correct.
All right, is that all for you, Your Honor?
That's all for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You have a good day.
You're welcome. Same to you. who just joined from the Motorola.
Hello,
What's your name?
Kenneth Wilson.
Thank you.
I'll go find it.
Okay, on the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Phillip Jackson, file number is 25-00447. Have your appearances for the record.
Matt Nagel, filling in on behalf of Mr. Adam Pfeiffer from the prosecutor's office, representing the people. Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Derek Ether is also the public defender on behalf of Mr. Phillip Jackson. Mr. Jackson is appearing by Polycom from the Ingham County Jail, and I'm appearing by Zoom video from here at the courthouse.
They were scheduled today for a probable cause conference for assault with intent to do great bodily harm less than murder, 2 counts, and then there is a domestic violence third offense notice and the habitual offender third offense notice. This matter is scheduled for a preliminary examination next week, February 27th at 9 a.m. Are we continuing to exam?
I'll defer
Your
to
Honor,
the
we are
defense,
asked
Your Honor.
yes, Your Honor, would ask the court to continue the matter to exam. Me and Mr. Nagel have spoke briefly earlier. I was just assigned this case yesterday and an appearance was filed, so I haven't received discovery as of yet. So I talked to Mr. Jackson and I will try to meet with him next week, early if possible, early in the week, as soon as I receive the discovery and decide what he wishes to do at that time.
Sounds good. So we will continue to next week. We'll see Mr. Jackson in person at the court. Any additional matters for the record at this time?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Yeah, Honor, Mr. Jackson has asked me to make a oral bond motion.
You can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Mr. Jackson is on parole with MDOC. He would like to make himself available to MDOC. He doesn't expect to get out of jail. He only expects the MDOC to take action on the parole violation. He's asking the court to consider a PR bond or low 10% bond, something that he can post to make himself available to MDOC. He understands the seriousness of the charges, and he's on parole for a very serious charge, so it's likely he's not going to get out. He prior to going or prior to this alleged incident, he was gainfully employed. He's got connections to the community, although for this area, since he just got out of prison within the last year, I think he said, he hasn't been in the area that long, but he does have connections to the area. So he's just asking the court to grant him some kind of bond. Right now, I believe, based on our intake form, he has no bond at all. He would ask the court again for a bond, preferably a PR bond or low 10% bond with appropriate bond conditions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the people would object to any change in the bond condition here. The victim in this matter is the mother of the child that he shared with the victim, but also with whom he had just completed a prison sentence for murdering his child and the victim's child.
No.
This
Not true.
This case is particularly violent. I'm just concerned with losing the defendant. I understand if he's turned over to MDOC and the parole board, he's not likely going anywhere, but I would just object to any kind of PR bond in this matter.
Mr. Pfeiffer is here. I don't know if he wants to make a record. There's been a bond motion on this case.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes,
That's fine.
yeah, I didn't see you here.
Sorry, I was,
He just walked in as you were talking.
Oh,
That's why.
thank
I was on the record with Judge Flores.
No worries. He was responding, if you want to put your appearance on the record, there was a
Absolutely.
bond motion for Phillip Jackson.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Adam Pfeiffer on behalf of the people. Now, who is representing Mr. Jackson? I didn't see him.
Mr. Etheridge, he was just appointed, I think,
Got it.
yesterday, so he's not even gotten discovery yet.
Understood. The people believe that the no bond is appropriate in this matter, given the fact that he had not even been off parole for 6 months after serving a prison sentence for the homicide of a child. He then beat his girlfriend, bloody, strangled her. And when her mother was in the, I think it was a closet, trying to call 911 for help, he broke the door down and took the phone out of her hand to stop her from calling police. We have eyewitness testimony. We have photographs of injuries corroborating the statements, as well as the blood that was sprayed on the walls that was observed by the officers matching up with the victim's statements. The people believe that the no bond is more than appropriate here and is called for under the court orders.
Yeah, the bond was denied by the magistrate at the time of the arraignment under MCR 6.106. And the bond recommendations or the report that was relied on in conjunction with the defendant's criminal history indicated that he was presently on active parole for homicide, murder, second degree, very serious charges. While on parole doesn't indicate to the court that someone is willing to be compliant with bond conditions. So I think the bond denial is appropriate under the circumstances. Your motion is denied. But we'll see Mr. Jackson in person next week for exam. Any
Yes.
additional matters for the record?
Mr. Etheridge, just to get the appearance to us as quick as he can, I'll make sure discovery gets to you guys as quick as he can. If for whatever reason there's a delay and you're not getting it, let me know and I'll make sure that it gets to you guys. I want to make sure it gets to you well in time of the exam.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Etheridge, you do have, I think, Erica O'Neill here.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready to proceed with Ms. O'Neill.
Okay, on the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Erica O'Neill, 24-02381, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Matt Nagel for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Derek Etchers, Office of Public Defender on behalf of Ms. O'Neill. Ms. O'Neill and I are both appearing by video.
Miss O'Neill. Okay, I have here a preliminary examination that's scheduled on Miss O'Neill. Let's see. Actually, no, I think this one is waiting for an assessment or something.
Your Honor, this is either a review hearing or a probable cause conference. This was a referral to mental health court. Ms. Bessinen is still working on the assessment. One of the holdups in this matter was that Ms. O'Neill was facing criminal charges in Genesee County, where they sent her for a competency hearing. I had been playing phone tag with her attorney there recently, but I did speak with her yesterday. She advised me that she will send me a copy of the competency by email, the competency report. She advised me that Ms. O'Neill has entered into I believe, a misdemeanor plea resolution in that court or in that county and is scheduled for sentencing. She was going to send me updated information about that by email as well. Once I received that information, Ms. Bessinen needed it or wanted it prior to completing her assessment. So that is the status and what we're waiting on.
Okay, so how much time do we need to reset this for?
Your Honor, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. If I get the information from her attorney there, I will forward it immediately. I'm not sure about Miss Besson's schedule, but she is pretty prompt once she gets all the information.
What are you
Okay, sounds good. March 13th at 9:30. March 13th at 9:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Any additional matters for today's record for Ms. O'Neill?
No, Your Honor.
No, no, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, Ms. O'Neill. And then Mr. Etheridge for Jason Levy is, I know this was set for a review. Do we need to set that one out any further as well?
Yes, Your Honor. There's still, my understanding, they're still working on the assessment, or it may have just been completed recently. Marie Taylor was working on it, but she's no longer at that office. And if it is completed, then we'll just do the paperwork, I believe, to have it transferred.
Yeah. At what time? March 13th at 9:30.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. I think that takes care of all the ones I have for you.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. I see Ahmad Whitley is present. That was Sarts, and then Kenneth Wilson, that might be him logging back in.
I think Mr. Goodrich is flown in for Mr. Starts on Whitby just because Mr. Starts is.
Okay,
So whenever Luke gets back, we can probably start that.
and then Mr. Zany's here on Tyler.
Yes, Your Honor, we're ready to go on that.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Anthony Tyler, 25-0323, council appearance.
Good morning, Your Honor. Matt Nagel for the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Edward Zini, I have Mr. Tyler, who's present to my right.
This matter is set for a preliminary examination on the 27th. Assault with intent to do great bodily harm, less than murder, or by strangulation. Are we continuing to exam?
Sorry, intent, Your Honor.
Let's schedule for 9:30 next week. Let's see. I did have a note here about a odd condition for the defendant to travel to Chicago. He's back now. Any other matters you've addressed for the record?
No, Your Honor.
None from defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you. And then Mr. Goodrich is on Wilson. He's gonna come for Whitney. I see Mr. Carter, but not, let's see. Marion Kajar present at all? I haven't seen that person. No one in the hallway?
I think the attorneys are trying to get together on that, Your Honor, because there may be a waiver. I've
Who's the
indicated,
attorney on that?
which one was it, Kajar?
Yes.
See, I've got their.
See on the docket.
If they're all in agreement, I'm going to agree to a waiver. I think their attorneys are still trying to figure that out. So Kajar, looks like Mr. Johnson, Green Johnson's on that one.
I haven't seen Green Johnson or Kajar.
I have not seen Mr. Johnson. Of course, I've been in here for the last 15 minutes. Let me check the hallway. Your Honor.
He wasn't out there.
Pretty sure you just checked all of it. I muted, but. That's Wilson, I think. Kenneth Wilson. No. You see what? I said I swear it remains. Oh. Whitby while we bring up Seagull.
Mr. Kajar was not in the hallway, but the other defendants were and let me know that he is on his way up. I have not seen Mr. Johnson, but I'm hoping he's coming with his client.
Possible.
I don't know,
It is possible.
being optimistic. I'm not usually optimistic, so.
Well, you should be. Let's see here. We're gonna do Wilson. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kenneth Ray Wilson, 25-00123, and then I have 25-00420. Appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Adam Pfeiffer on behalf of the people on file 25-123.
And Matt Nagel for the people on file 25-420 FY.
And Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office to represent Mr. Wilson on both of these matters. Mr. Wilson is appearing over Zoom today.
I literally, probably 3 seconds before Mr. Pfeiffer walked in, was gonna say, I haven't seen Mr. Pfeiffer for a while. And look at me with 2 Pfeiffer files in one day.
Yeah.
And look at, see, did I tell you?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Gotta
ma'am.
stay positive. Okay, so now, Mr. Pfeiffer, you're on which one again?
I'm on file 25-123
Oh,
FY.
okay, so these matters are both scheduled for probable cause conference today, but preliminary examination on the 27th at 9:30. Mr. Pfeiffer, are we continuing on your matter?
We are, Your Honor. The people have no offer at this time. However, my office been in close communication. The victim is here in the courtroom today. I have no doubt that we'll be able to successfully run an exam if that is necessary.
Okay, sounds good. And then as to file number ending 420, we continue on examining that.
That would be the people's intention, yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, the defense intends to proceed to examine both files.
Okay, so both matters will continue to next week in person at the court. Mr. Wilson, you do understand you must appear in person next week, correct?
Correct.
Okay, do you have any questions for the court at this time?
No, I do not.
Okay, bonds in each matter will continue. Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, you're all set for today. Speak with Whitby. Yes.
That's fine.
Mr. Whippy, I'm going to leave Zoom and I'm going to just go in the courtroom, okay?
Okay. Mr. Whitley? Can you hear me? You just give me a call later. We're all set for today. You're free to leave. We're just gonna leave it on for the preliminary examination next week, okay?
All right, thank you.
Make sure you're here in person next week, understand?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Addie.
Sedor. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Matthew Sedor, 25-00147. Appearance, please.
Peter Stevens on behalf of the people.
And Luke Goodish from the Public Defender's Office, here to represent Mr. Sedor, who's standing to my right.
Okay, this is the matter scheduled for a probable cause conference for receiving and concealing stolen property. I think there's two counts. One's motor vehicle, one's stolen property, but there's a plea on this today.
Yeah, may I approach?
Yes. Somebody in the room or break up room?
We
They're gone.
resolved that off the record.
Okay, good. Okay. All right, I see here, there's an offer for the defendant to plead guilty to amended count 2 of receiving, concealing 200 to 1,000. Upon plea and sentence, the people agree to dismiss count 1. And there's no restitution, is that correct?
Judge, he is currently under, it's my understanding, and Mr. Goodrich can correct me if I'm wrong, he's currently under sentence for corresponding case, or it's a derivative case of this in Clinton County where restitution's already been ordered. So it's just shy of about 3,000. So I didn't ask for restitution since it's already being covered by another case.
Sounds good. Okay, and then Mr. Sedura would like to accept this offer.
Yes, you will.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Put your hand down. I do have an advice and rights of the information sheet. Is that your signature?
Yes.
You read these rights?
Yes.
You understand each of the rights listed there?
Yes.
And you want to waive or give up those rights today so that you can accept the offer to plead guilty to the amended count 2?
Yes.
You understand that means that you're gonna give up your right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, and give up your right to have a jury trial whereby you will require the prosecution prove each element of the charges being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Your right to remain silent at trial and not have silence be used against you. Your right to see, hear, or question any other witnesses that the prosecutor is going to call to testify against you. Your right to call witnesses to testify on your behalf or present evidence that you believe show a defense to these charges. You understand that?
Yes.
Anyone making any threats to you to give these rights up?
No.
Any promises being made to you in exchange for you entering a guilty plea?
No.
Are you on probation or parole?
No.
You understand by pleading guilty, it could have impact on travel or immigration status that you may seek. You also may need to report this conviction on a future job application. You understand that?
Yes.
As to the amended charge of receiving, concealing a property 200 to 1,000, you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is that because you believe you're guilty?
Yes.
Actual basis, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sedor, on or about June 10th of 2024, were you at 725 Emily Avenue?
Yes.
And is that located in the city of Lansing, County of Ingham, state of Michigan?
Yes.
And while you were at that location, were you in the possession of a trailer?
Yes.
And is that trailer something that you knew or had reason to know had been stolen?
Yes.
And you did not have permission to be in possession of that trailer?
No.
And do you believe the value of that trailer was either more than $200,
Yes.
potentially less than 1,000?
Yes.
Your Honor, I believe we have a factual basis for the amended count 2.
Any questions from the prosecution?
None from the people, Judge. Thank you.
How you plead be freely and voluntarily made, I'll accept your plea. Said he recently pled to another matter
Your Honor,
connected to this or
Just to
something?
give a little background, this is a case that basically started with him taking a lawnmower from Clinton County and transporting it into Ingham County. He did a plea last summer to the matter in Clinton County. And then, he was able to get himself arraigned on this. So essentially it's one sequence of events.
April 17th. And April 17th at 9 a.m. For sentencing, you do need to meet with our probation department so they can provide the court with a pre-sentence investigation report. And I have here that he's supposed to be released to rehab. on the 26th of March.
Yes. Your Honor, would the court consider doing immediate sentencing in this matter due to the sentence that he's currently serving in Clinton County?
What is he serving in Clinton County?
He was sentenced to 365 days in jail. That would expire on June 26th. However, they will chop the last 90 days off if it goes to Bear River Rehab Facility, which would be the March 26th date.
Okay. He said he's going to Bear River.
Yes, that is the plan.
Yeah, I'll give him 30 days, Lincoln County Jail credit for time served. Additional matters for the record.
Okay, most people, Judge, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Go up to you, sir.
Thank you.
And we're continuing on. We are taking care of the file that for Whitney. It was Whitney. Yeah. Okay, so. Okay, have we seen Parker?
Yes, she's.
Okay. Okay, and what's going on with Kajar, Clinton, and Dennis?
So I think Parker, Kajar, Clinton, and Dennis are all the co-defendants. I've got an officer here, Your Honor. Sounds like we're going to be starting this exam today. One of my officers, Brendan Irwin, is in the hospital with his wife. She's in labor. Another one of my officers, Douglas Hall, was on leave. He's in Florida. He was on leave at the time the subpoena was sent, so I didn't know if he was unavailable. So we're going to start the exam today, but then we'll be seeking a continuance to allow these witnesses to come back.
Okay.
Court's permission.
Seven.
I have one witness today. So it should go, depending on how the cross goes, it should go relatively quick.
Set up.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna text you all later. I'm not
Go ahead
even-
and see there.
I've got a motion.
Attorneys, okay.
And so I can't be clear. So somebody.
What court, what judge?
I'm gonna be with Judge Allen.
I mean, we could flip flop.
I need somebody here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll, no comments on that. No.
There is a trial scheduled for Monday, but I was just talking to Jake. It sounds like there's gonna be a.
And should we get like 2 more chairs over there?
Yeah, I didn't know. Two people been over here and then two over here.
Joseph, I think you're gonna need your chair there.
All right.
Wow. I'm hammered, right?
Okay.
Sit next to it.
Parker.
Alright.
And then two and two.
You have an afternoon, so you don't have to drive.
She don't have.
Oh, perfect.
I'll get my stuff out of the way here in a second.
Thanks for the heads up, though. I appreciate it.
Whoa. Coming in for leave?
Yeah.
Are you all done?
Evan.
I just relieved the van. All the switching.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should go over here next time.
Hey, Maddie. So again, they were able to conceive.
Yeah, she
Okay.
can.
So Whitley and Blacksmith were good one.
Yeah.
Today.
All of the maroon.
Courtroom for our Florida defendant.
Even though boards big, it still seems small.
Yeah, folks. Joseph, he's one of the, we did a 4 defendant trial. Table up in front.
You know that Josephine, he takes up a lot of his personality.
Yes.
I got too much stuff. I need a lot of table space. I should bring my own tables from now on. I should. I just come in with a 6-foot folding table and.
Palmer.
We haven't gotten anything Johnson and his personality.
I never said humbleness and modesty. Good personality trait. I'm just watching Joseph because he's got the laptop, maybe it was real big, but the laptop plus paper. And then, you know.
He's probably got a PowerPoint ready too.
Not yet.
With Joseph and
He's got a maroon suit on. He's
I
got
know.
his shoes and his shoe covers. I'm sitting here with slush in my shoes because I don't go outside.
I'm sitting
So I'm not worried about slipping. It's just salt. It tears up the bottom of my shoes. So I understand because you so you get the shoe covers, then you take your $350 scarf and just throw it on the floor. That's why I told my wife to don't buy me expensive stuff because I'm too careless with my stuff. So yeah.
afford to get into that store.
I told my wife you have to pay money to eat their ear.
Probably do.
Oh, yep. College kid going off to Or if you can't, one of those fancy suits or whatever. Oh, let me just. You wear hats, right? I like the. I like my colleagues though, I'm so self-conscious. I like the whole thing in me. It's all good. That's the point. I don't, so like, it looks good on me, but like, I feel like it looks ridiculous on me. Even though I like it. So like, and here's my point. So, my wife and I were in Boston once, and our parents were there, and they talked to me the bunch, really nice. After seeing this one, I had this conversation, and it's like, you know, everybody was like, just wear it, just wear it. And so I did, I wore it, and I felt like everybody was staring. Right now, it's just shows. And then, when I got back to where I was flying, I didn't have no. Say, hey, I like your hat. Hey, everybody, look at the hat. Passing out. I was like, this is my nightmare. And that was the last time I ever fucking worked. Yeah, yeah. No one, I know, this was unexpected. I just, I don't have.
I guess if you're hoping to have that on. I don't like that. You go to Henry Hatter. They move from Detroit to South. So go to Henry Hatter. They gotta have it.
I've never been that for something. I'll wear it if it's like sunny out, but not as a fashion statement.
Well, like days like.
I had a Biltmore Henry Hatter hat.
Oh, no.
I was about somebody to step on my Jordan.
Yeah.
It's worse than stepping on Jordan's bone.
You should get a goose in that too, that's it. Can't even steam it. Yeah, which house are you from today? Mr. Phillip. Christopher Phillip. Yeah, like they like today though. Anything on your head to do it.
So I don't like wearing like beanies or anything because I have crazy headache. So I don't wear anything that. I just wrap stuff. It's never been happened.
But if one Trump takes some court too much people.
That's what I was saying earlier, when Paul was with Mr. Decide. Jackson, I think I've seen him.
I'll be a Chicago tomorrow.
I know. I want that headache. This is a lot. Few things just doing judge work, but that's a lot of administrative work. Just heard her speak a few weeks ago. Just
All rise. Okay, you can be seated. On the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kamarion Kajar, file number 24-03636, Letitia Clinton, 24-03637, Dea Dennis, 24-03639, and Kariah Parker, 24-03638. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Matt Nagel for the people.
Good morning, man. Please, this honorable court, Kareem Johnson, P number 71988, here on behalf of Mr. Kajar, who's standing to my immediate right.
Good morning, Your Honor. Joseph Yang on behalf of Ms. Dea Dennis, who is present and to my right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor, or morning, Your Honor. Attorney Luke Goodrich from the Public Defender's Office here to represent Ms. Parker, who's standing to my left.
May I please court David B. Curtis Jr. on behalf of Letitia Clinton, who is present and standing to my right.
Okay, today was the date scheduled for a preliminary examination, which I believe we're prepared to begin, at least with one officer, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Officer. That's correct, Your Honor. Another one of my officers is in the hospital with his wife, who is currently in labor, and another one was on leave at the time subpoenas were sent. He is out of state, unable to appear today. So therefore, we will start with one witness, and then we will be requesting the court give us a continuous date.
Okay. Any other preliminary matters before we call the witness?
Not for the people.
Nothing on behalf of Ms. Dennis. I'm assuming with the prosecutor's redemption of two of his witnesses not being here, I'm still make a motion to sequester any other witnesses.
Motion is granted.
Nothing about Mr. Kajar, Your Honor.
And nothing on behalf of Mr. Parker.
Thank you for the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People would call Officer Christopher Clue.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give is the truth and the whole truth under penalty of perjury.
I do.
If you can have a seat. State your first and last name and spell both.
Christopher Clue, CHRISTOPHER, Clue, CLEW.
Take the seat, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Clue, can you tell the court with whom you are currently employed, sir?
With the Lansing Police Department,
How long have you been employed with them?
about 6.5 years.
And what are your current responsibilities with the Lansing Police Department?
Primary road patrol response, responding to calls for service.
Were you working in this capacity on December 10th of 2024?
I was, yeah.
Do you recall being called out to a location for a report of a home invasion?
Yes, we received a call, North Waverly, in the apartment building there, their apartment complex there, for people attempting to break into a residence.
Do you remember the address at that apartment complex?
I do not recall the exact address.
If I were to tell you 3822 Wilson Avenue, would that sound familiar to you?
Yes, I would.
Okay. And is that in the city of Lansing, County of Hingham?
Yes, it is.
Did you respond to that location, sir?
I did, yes.
Were you the first one on scene when you arrived?
I was not.
Can you tell the court what you observed when you arrived, sir?
When I arrived on scene, there were approximately 2 other officers on scene already. Rather hectic scene. There were officers attempting to detain subjects with multiple other subjects unsecured at the time. So I assisted in trying to secure the remaining suspects in handcuffs while we figured out what was going on.
Okay. And did you interact with any of the suspects at that time?
I did.
Can you tell the court about who is the first person you interacted with?
I believe Miss Dea.
What was the name again?
Dea, first name.
Oh, Dea, first name. So what was do you recall her last name?
I do not.
Or so you did Did you fill out a police report after this incident?
I did, yeah,
And did you include that name in your police report?
I did.
And did you say you do not remember her last name?
Was it Miss Dennis?
If I were to show your police report, would that help refresh your memory?
Yes, it would.
No objection.
Yes.
Does that help refresh your memory, officer?
It does, yes.
So the first person that you interacted with, do you remember that person's full name?
Yes, Shea Dennis.
Okay, can you tell the court about your interaction with Ms. Dennis?
So when I arrived on scene, she was standing in the grassy area, was being uncooperative. I was advised by the officers on scene that she was secured, that she was the suspect. We approached her, she was completely uncooperative, said, no, don't touch me, get away from me, I didn't do anything wrong, clutches her arms to her chest. When we attempt to secure her in handcuffs, she tenses, resists, pulls away. We end up having to take her down to the ground and secure her in handcuffs.
Okay. You said there were two other officers there at the time you first interacted with her.
Yes.
Do you recall how they were dressed?
We were all driving fully marked patrol cars, wearing our department issued patrol uniforms.
Okay, that includes yourself and the other two gentlemen, officers who were there.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then what was the reason she was being detained? Were you able to determine that?
I was advised by another officer that she was believed to be involved in this home invasion, and at the time we were securing everybody that we believed to be involved until we could figure out exactly what was going on.
Okay, so so you had given her a lawful order to cooperate while you detained her to figure out the identities and what was going on.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And I think you indicated that she was pulling away.
Yes.
Can you explain to the court what you mean by that?
So that we ordered her to place her hands behind her back and that she was going to be secured in handcuffs. She was clutching her hands up to her chest like this. I grabbed onto her right arm, tried gently pulling her arm behind her back, secure her in handcuffs. She was tensing her arms, continuing to keep them clutched to her chest and swinging her body back and forth, refusing to go into handcuffs cooperatively.
And had you advised that why you were trying to detain her?
Yes.
And were you ultimately able to get her into handcuffs?
I was, yes.
And how were you able to do that?
We had to eventually perform a takedown, place her on the ground in the grass, and then I was able to gain control of her right arm, pull it behind her back, and then she was secured in handcuffs.
What did you do with her after you secured her in handcuffs?
I walked her over to my patrol car. I realized at that time that another suspect, Miss Clinton, was already in the backseat of my patrol car. We were out of cop cars, so I stood next to my patrol car waiting for another backseat.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you know the names of the officers that assisted you with detaining Miss Dennis?
I do, yes.
Who were those officers?
This was Officer Irwin and Officer Vanderwerf.
Thank you, sir. And then you said that somebody else was in the back of your squad car when you tried to put Miss Dennis in the squad car. So were you ultimately able to secure her in another patrol vehicle?
Yes. Lansing Township officer arrived to assist for mutual aid. So she was placed in the backseat of their patrol car.
Okay. Did you interact with Miss Dennis after you were able to do that?
I assisted in booking her at the jail, but other than that, she was uncooperative, refused to give me anything beyond her initial information, so I was unable to collect a statement from her.
Okay. Because of that interaction, would you recognize her if you saw her in court?
I believe so, yes.
Do you see her in court?
I do, yes.
Would you mind pointing to her and identifying an article of clothing that she's wearing?
She's sitting right there wearing a tan coat.
Thank you, officer. Your Honor, may the record reflect ID.
Any objection?
No objection for purposes of prelim.
The identification for Ms. Dennis is removed.
Following your interaction with Ms. Dennis, did you have any other responsibilities at this scene?
Yes, I made contact with Ms. Clinton, who was in the backseat of my car,
Okay.
to collect her information in her statement.
I think you indicated already that when you first encountered Miss Clinton, she was already in custody. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
What did you do what did you do when you interacted with Miss Clinton later?
I opened the back door of the car to talk to her. I asked the other officers on scene if she had been identified and interviewed yet. They stated she had not. So I just collected her information in her statement.
Okay, you said you got a statement?
I did, yes.
Did you read her Miranda rights before speaking to her?
I did, yes.
And did she acknowledge those rights?
Yes, she did.
Did she waive any of those rights?
Did not. Or, sorry, yes. So I advised her of her rights under the Fifth Amendment and asked if she was willing to speak with me, and if she understood her rights. She said, yes, I understand, and I am willing to answer your questions.
Okay. So do you recall the statement that she gave you then?
I do, yes.
What was that statement?
So I basically asked her what was going on, what was the situation. She stated that yesterday her son had been arrested at this address. It was stemming from a domestic assault that occurred the day before between the victim, Miss Love, and her son. Her son was ultimately arrested, and then she stated that she got a call from her son in jail stating that Miss Love was still at the apartment, was causing problems. He was worried that she was going to damage some of his personal property inside of the apartment. So they went over with the intention of getting into the apartment and making sure that his property was okay.
So it sounds like she testified, or excuse me, it sounds like in her statement, she said that she knew that Miss Love would be present at the apartment when she went there?
Correct.
Okay. Did she tell you what happened when she got to the apartment?
She stated that they knocked on the door and that the door was locked and Miss Love was not opening the door. So then she stated that they went around to the back and there was an unsecure window and they crawled in through the window. I walked over to the apartment to meet with Officer Hall, who was speaking with the victim, and I observed fresh kick marks and broken frame on the door. And I said, well, if you guys, she was claiming that everybody crawled inside through the window. I asked if everyone crawled in through the window, how did the door get kicked open? And she said, I don't know anything about that. That didn't happen.
Okay. So did she admit to entering the apartment through the window?
Yes, she said she opened the window and crawled into the apartment. She made contact with Miss Love inside the apartment. She stated a verbal argument ensued, but she stated that there was no physical altercation that occurred.
Was that the totality of her statement to you, sir?
Correct.
Did you interact with anybody else after that?
I did not directly.
Okay. And then at this point, Miss Dennis was, I think you indicated earlier that she was in the back of a patrol vehicle that belonged to Lansing Township Police. Is that correct? Okay. And then I think you also indicated that you had assisted with her being admitted to the Lansing Police Department jail. Is that correct?
Yes. So when I was transporting Miss Clinton, Lansing Township followed me with Miss Dennis. Once we got to our lockup, I basically retook custody of Miss Dennis from Township and got her booked into LPD lockup.
Okay. And were you able to do that with her cooperation?
I was, yes.
Okay. Briefly going back to Miss Clinton, since you took a statement from her, would you recognize Miss Clinton if you saw her again?
Possibly, yes.
Do you see her in court today?
Do.
And may the record reflect that the officer said that he does and pointed to a witness sitting in the jury box. Officer, could you identify an article of clothing that the defendant is wearing?
The black coat.
Your Honor, may the record reflect ID?
No, yes.
Just for the record, there are two individual with black coat women in the jury box. However, I did see the direction in which the witness pointed.
Thank you for the clarification. Arvin. That's-
Identification of Ms. Clinton is noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, officer, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Officer, when you were dispatched to the location of the apartment complex, is it true that you did not have the exact apartment number?
I had the exact apartment number in the call. I just didn't recall the exact number.
Were you
at
given
this time?
Were you given a description of the individuals who were supposedly breaking into this apartment?
I was, yes.
What description were you given?
It was, to the best of my recollection, multiple subjects. I don't recall the exact description given.
When you arrived at the location, you described the people you saw as subjects.
Correct.
What specific articulable facts did you have that the people you saw outside had anything to do with any alleged home invasion?
Because I was advised by the other officers already on scene who had more information than me because they were there
So
first.
you didn't have any specific articulable facts. You got that from other officers.
Correct.
Okay. So did you ever see any identification from Ms. Love with this address of the alleged home invasion?
I did not speak to Ms. Love.
Okay. Did you ever collect any mail or any other proof of residence that Ms. Love had for this address of the alleged home invasion?
It was not my job during this incident. Like I said, I just never
Is
got
that
contact.
a no officer?
Correct.
Did you have any information that the individual who was arrested the night before gave Ms. Love permission to be there on that day?
I was advised by the officers that responded to the domestic previously the night before that Miss Love had established residency there based on their investigation. And when this call came out, we were advised over the radio based on previous contact that this was related to the domestic assault that occurred the night before. And based on other officers' observations and investigation, they stated that Miss Love did have residency at that apartment.
So my question to you is, did you have any proof that Miss Love had residency at that apartment?
Again, I did not speak to her.
Did you ever go inside? You talked about the alleged kick marks on the door to the apartment. Did you ever go inside the apartment?
No, I walked up to the door, saw the door was open with the damage and the kick marks. Officer Hall was inside the apartment. I asked him if he was all set in there speaking with Miss Love, if there was any assistance that I could be of. He said he was all set, so I walked back to my patrol car.
So then it's fair to say that you never observed any clothing of Miss Love inside that apartment?
I did not go inside the apartment.
So then it's fair to say you did not observe any clothing of Miss Love inside the apartment?
Correct, I did not have contact with her.
So it's fair to say you didn't observe any belongings of Miss Love inside the apartment?
I can't observe what's inside of a residence that I don't go into.
So the answer to my question is no.
Correct.
Were you present when another individual who resided at that apartment arrived?
I
believe he identified himself as a cousin of the actual leaseholder.
Briefly, again, I didn't speak with him.
Okay. Well, you were present when other officers were speaking with him?
Correct.
Okay. That person asked for clothing that would belong to him to be brought from inside the residence out to him, correct?
Possibly, again, that was not my job. I've seen someone else to take care of that.
Okay. But I'm asking, did you see it?
I observed it.
Okay. So you observed somebody else get clothing out of that location?
I did not see him go into the apartment to get clothing, no.
Now, you described the conduct of individuals that time, and I don't want to get too much into it, as uncooperative, correct?
Correct.
Nobody's required to speak to you, correct?
If they're being lawfully detained for an investigation, yes, they are.
They don't have a right to remain silent?
They have a right to remain silent. They don't have a right to resist and leave whenever they want.
I didn't ask you that. You described the behavior of some subject who didn't want to talk to you as being uncooperative, correct?
No, I'm saying she was physically uncooperative. She didn't have to give me a statement, but if she's gonna go in handcuffs because she's being detained, it's gonna happen whether she wants to or not. You don't have to talk, but if you're being detained, you're being detained.
And the detention that you made, well, I'll let her attorney get into that. You didn't have any contact with Mr. Kajar on that day in time, correct?
No, that was Officer Hall and Officer Manworth.
Thank you. No further questions, John.
My name is Joseph. If I go too fast or you need me to rephrase, please let me know.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right. So when you arrived at the scene, was Officer Vanderwerf already in contact with the two people he was talking to? Is that correct?
Yes, he was making verbal contact with Miss Dennis, who was uncooperative. I walked over to him and he said, hey, she's involved, she needs to be detained, she's being uncooperative, we gotta go put her in cuffs.
So how quickly after you got out of the car did that conversation happen?
Basically immediately.
Okay. Did you employ any de-escalation techniques at all at that time?
Tried talking to her nicely of, hey, you're being detained until we figure this out. You're not under arrest right now. We're just trying to figure out what's happening. And it was.
So prior to going hands-on, is what I'm going to call it, to arrest her, did you employ any de-escalation techniques with her?
I did, yes.
Okay. And what you get spoken earlier about it, what specific techniques did you use?
Again, to explain the situation of, hey, you're being detained right now, you're not under arrest, we just need to get this figured out. We're gonna put you in handcuffs until we sort out what's going on right now.
Earlier you had said that there was a description that was provided to you of the people involved. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember the descriptions at all?
I don't recall the exact descriptions. It was multiple subjects, I believe.
Were there
African-American appearance, possibly clothing descriptions that I don't recall.
So I guess if you do remember, I want you to remember. I don't want you to guess as to what it is. So were there any specific genders involved or any clothing involved in the descriptions that you remember?
It was both males and females. I don't remember any of the clothing descriptions given at this time.
Okay. And when you had contact with Miss Dennis, did you see what apartment she had been coming from?
I did not know.
Okay. She was already on the sidewalk when you had contact with her, right?
Correct.
Okay. Earlier you had said you relied on statements of other officers. Which officers did you rely on statements of to go hands-on to make the contact?
Officer Vanderwerf.
Okay. So that was the only officer that you relied on for the statement on to go hands-on with?
Correct.
All right. Was there another person standing next to Ms. Dennis as well?
There was, yes.
Okay, and do you know who took her into custody?
I possibly Officer Irwin, I can't say with exact certainty.
Okay, I know you had talked about your follow-up investigation. Did you have any other contact with Ms. Dennis as far as a follow-up interview or anything of that nature?
No, I was trying to interview her while we were standing outside waiting for another car, and she was just screaming and swearing and being uncooperative. I managed to get her name and date of birth, and that's about all she was.
Okay, so when you say uncooperative, she wasn't willing to give you a statement. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. But she was in essence detained and back patrol car under arrest at that time. Correct?
Yes.
All right. No further questions, John.
John, on behalf of Ms. Parker, we have no questions at this time.
Mr. Officer Clue, correct?
Yes, sir.
My name is David Carter. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. If there's a question you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to rephrase that. Fair enough?
Okay.
You have a body cam on that day?
I do, yes.
And you had dash cam on that day?
Correct. My overhead lights and sirens were not activated, therefore my dash cam was not activated.
Okay, when you said you arrived on the scene, you got information from other officers, correct?
Correct.
Which officer, and I'm sure this will be on your body cam, right?
Yes.
Your body cam came on as you exited the vehicle?
Yes.
Was this something you manually turned on?
It was, yes.
All right. And so which officer did you get the information from that Miss Love had established residency there?
I was advised by Officer Robertson and
Yeah. So how did Officer Robertson convey to you that Miss Love had established residency there?
she was working both the day of the domestic and the day of this incident. And when we were responding, she got on the radio and stated that this incident that we were going to right now was related to the domestic that occurred the day before. The male had been arrested and the female had residency at that apartment.
And those were the terms. The female had residency at the apartment.
It's not a direct quote, but that's.
Well, I'm more interested in direct quotes because I don't want you to summarize and take guesses. Did anybody actually tell you that Miss Love had residency there?
They did, yeah.
Okay, and not that she was there earlier or that, but she actually maintained residency there, correct? Would there be a reason why Miss Love would give 2 residency to an officer when he filled out his police report?
Objection, speculation.
No, he's an officer, so I'm asking him in the normal course of him taking down a police report, is it normal for somebody to give you 2 residencies?
Was that, I don't know if that was the original question, but.
I heard, is
Okay,
there a reason she would have given you two residences? I think that
Correct,
calls for
that's-
speculation.
I
He's
guess
withdrawn that question, he's got a new question.
my rephrasing, I think, is good enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would there be a reason?
Well, I've ran into it many times where people are staying at one place, they receive mail at a different address. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this city who are semi-transient that don't have a solid permanent residence. So sometimes they're living with a friend somewhere for a while and they still get mail at their mom's house.
Fair enough. Now, you did not interview Miss Love, is that correct?
Correct, I never spoke to her.
You interviewed Miss Clinton, isn't that correct?
That is.
And she indicated that that was her son's apartment, correct?
Correct.
And that her son gave her permission to go there, correct?
I believe so, yes.
All right. Did you do any, based on that information, did you check with the apartment complex to see who actually lived there?
I did not follow up with the apartment complex.
Did you follow up with anybody?
There was a lot going on at the scene. I handled what I could handle and I did my job. I'm not gonna have answers for every single part of this investigation.
And I can appreciate that, but I wasn't there, so I'm just trying to get information that you had. So I'm not saying it was your job to follow up. I'm asking you if you had.
Okay.
Had you?
Nope.
All right. Did you question Miss Clinton about whether or not Miss Love was a resident there?
She stated that she was not.
All right. And did Miss Clinton ever state that Miss Love told her she couldn't come into the apartment?
The doors were locked and she was not making contact with her, and that's when they entered the residence either through the window or kicking in the door.
But based on what her son gave her permission to do, correct?
I believe so.
All right, thank you. I have nothing further.
I just have a quick question. At the time that you arrived, you were not taking either Miss Dennis or Miss Clinton into custody. You were detaining them, correct?
Correct. They were not, they weren't under arrest. They were just being detained for the purpose of investigation.
Okay, why were they cuffed then?
Based on the dynamic of the situation. When I arrived on scene, Mr. Cager over there was actively fighting with Officer Hall. There was a lot of people out there. They were actively defiant, screaming at us, swearing at us. I mean, pardon my language, but fuck you, I didn't do anything. Get the fuck away from me. Don't fucking touch me. There was people coming out of other apartments screaming at us. You're being racist, leave them alone. I'll fight you, this, that, and the third. There's 3 officers and 10 people out there screaming and fighting. It's to control the situation.
Okay, so I understand that it sounds like it was a chaotic situation. Now I want to speak specifically about the 2 names that I named and not Mr. Cager, because I didn't ask about them. as to Miss Dennis. What did Miss Dennis do when you arrived that caused you to believe that detention with handcuffs was necessary?
Because she was uncooperative, yelling, swearing, refusing to speak to us, wouldn't provide her information. When we asked her, hey, can you just walk over here and have a conversation with us? It was met with swearing and uncooperation. So based on the fact that we're responding to a home invasion and we have uncooperative suspects and her being physically resistive when we did make contact with her, it was deemed necessary to handcuff her for officer safety and to control the situation.
The physical resistance came after the attempt to cuff though, and I'm trying to understand what elements caused this to rise to the level of a detention with cuffs, because we can detain someone without cuffing them, correct?
Correct.
And typically cuffs are introduced if it's the issue of officer safety or understanding or belief that they might flee, correct?
Correct.
What did Miss Dennis do to, or what evidence did you have to support that there was an officer safety issue that she needed to be cuffed?
Because if I make contact with somebody and I say, hey, can you walk over here, have a conversation with me? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And she was uncooperative, refusing to move from where she was. She was yelling, swearing, being completely non-compliant. And non-compliance leads to going into handcuffs so we can figure out what's going on.
Okay, and then what about Ms. Clinton? Because my understanding, you didn't take her into custody, correct?
No, I did not.
Someone else detained her. You just took a statement from.
Correct. She was in handcuffs. I pulled up to the scene and they said, hey, can we put her in your back seat? And I went, sure, I don't know what's going on. I just got here.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Just a couple of follow-up questions. Just for point of clarification, when you did first interact with Miss Dennis, you mentioned that there were two other officers present.
Correct.
One was Officer Hall, the other one was Officer Vanderwerf.
Correct.
And you were instructed by Officer Vanderwerf that Miss Dennis was being detained and was asking for your assistance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I assume Officer Vanderwerf will probably have more answers based on what the court had just asked. Is that correct?
I believe so.
When you took a statement from Miss Clinton, I think you testified that her son had asked her to go to the apartment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you recall? I think you said this on direct, but did she tell you where her son had called it from?
The jail.
Okay. And do you know why he was in jail?
For the domestic assault that occurred the night before.
Okay. Thank you, officer. No further questions.
Any recross based on my questions of this witness?
Yes, Sean.
Yeah, I can go first. So officer, just confirm, you didn't observe her committing any crimes at that time when you came out the vehicle, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Basically, she was having a conversation with Officer Vanderwerf, correct?
Correct.
And he had said you need to detain her, correct?
Correct.
And at that time, was she, in your impression, was she kind of scared and frozen in time as to what was happening?
I can't speak to exactly how she was feeling. She was not being cooperative.
Okay, so she wasn't being cooperative because she didn't want to talk to you, is that correct? That why
Correct.
you're saying she's being uncooperative? So she was uncooperative for not talking to you. That's why you put her in handcuffs, correct?
She was put in handcuffs for screaming and swearing and saying, leave me alone.
So earlier you said you did not observe a crime. So her screaming and swearing at you, was that a crime?
It's not a crime, it's a totalitarian circumstance.
Okay. Did she attempt to flee from you or run from you?
She did not run.
Okay,
No.
so she stayed there when you guys went hands on, and that's when the interaction you had talked about earlier happened with her.
Correct.
And so up to the point until you went hands on, just confirm you didn't observe any crime. Correct?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And the only reason why was because she didn't want to talk to you. That's why you put her in handcuffs.
It's an investigative detention based on the information provided.
Okay. And okay, no further questions, Ron.
Any other questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor, you can be repetitive.
Not from this part.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Officer Booth.
Thank you.
I just want to advise you, there is a sequestration order, so you're not to discuss your testimony with any other witness, okay?
Correct.
Thank you. And that's the only witness for today, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor. So at this time, the people would be requesting a continuance as we discussed prior to the beginning of the exam, with the court's permission.
The one witness is, I guess,
So
out with their delivery of their child, and is the expectation, I guess, that they'll be on leave after that, or?
Yes, Your Honor. I was going to request 30 days if the court would permit to give that officer time to be home with his family following the birth of his child.
I think our next available date is probably at least 30 days out.
Put it in, but we have March 27th at 1:30, April 3rd at 9:30, and April 4th at 8:30.
You said that way too fast.
March 27th at 1:30 is the first one.
You know, I know I'm gonna be on vacation the last week of March.
They're approving vacation at the public defender's
I
office?
do, yeah, by once a year.
If anybody deserves it.
Sounds good. So that one's not an option.
April 3rd and 4th were the other dates.
I'm in trial on, I'm in Atlanta on the 3rd, until the 3rd.
So that's not an option. The 10th, April 10th.
I can do the 10th.
You say you were on trial the 3rd?
No, I'm in trial before.
The 4th?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably gonna go for how long?
Yeah, just a day or two.
Oh, okay, sounds good. So the 10th could work
Yes, I
for everybody.
It doesn't work for me, but I'll make it work if everybody else.
Are you on vacation?
No, just in another county, but
Oh.
it's gonna be in the morning or the afternoon.
Well, what time you gotta be in the other county?
In the morning.
We can do it afternoon. April 10th at 1:30, April 10th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. We'll get you notices to appear. Bond in each matter will continue, as well as any no contact orders. Any additional matters?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing on behalf of Ms. Dennis.
No, Your Honor.
Nothing on behalf of Ms. Carter.
You're all set.
Thank you, Your Honor.